The Lake Rebellion. It was a crisp Sunday morning when I cast my line into the glassy water of my lake, expecting nothing but the quiet ripple of trout rising to the bait. I'd owned this slice of paradise for 15 years, a private lake carved out by my deed, nestled behind my hand-built cabin in a sleepy Texas suburb. The mist clung low, birds sang, and my coffee steamed in the dawn chill. Then, like a storm cloud in khakis, Margaret stormed down the path, clipboard in hand, shrieking that I was illegally fishing on her HOA's turf. She slapped a handwritten $500 fine on my cooler, claiming my lake was under her control. That moment, my peaceful retreat became a battleground, and I was ready to fight for what was mine. My name's Tom Larson, a semi-retired aquatic biologist who'd spent decades studying wetlands and fish habitats. I bought this land before the Willow Creek HOA even existed, and my deed clearly stated the lake was mine, a separate legal entity beyond their reach. Margaret, the self-appointed queen of neighborhood regulations, didn't care. She waved a laminated sheet, citing Section 4C of the Lake Use Code, which banned fishing from March to November without board approval. I tried reasoning, showing her the deed, but she scoffed, taping her fine to my cooler with neon green duct tape. "You'll respect authority," she snapped, storming off. I knew then this wasn't just a misunderstanding, was a power grab. By Monday, my mailbox overflowed with HOA notices. The fine jumped to $750, with threats of a lien if unpaid. I met with the HOA president, Harold, a nervous retiree who mumbled about Margaret's passion for community standards and some nonsense about protecting fish spawning cycles. I explained there's no such cycle in Texas in March, and even if there was, it's my lake. Harold just shrugged, saying Margaret's rules were urgent. My blood boiled not at the money, but at the absurdity. Margaret was turning my property into her fiefdom. I consulted a lawyer friend, who confirmed the HOA had no legal ground. I could have sued, but that felt too easy. Instead, I hatched a plan. As a biologist, I knew fish, and I knew how to make a point. I called an old contact at an exotic fish supplier and ordered a batch of red-bellied vegetarian Piranhas, legal, plant-eating, but terrifying to behold. They'd swarm bait in seconds, all teeth and flash, yet pose no threat to humans. I prepped a section of my lake, added water plants, and released the fish under the cover of night. The piranhas thrived, darting in the shallows, ready to star in my quiet rebellion. Margaret struck again that Saturday, hosting an HOA Ladies' Lake brunch on the public dock across from mine. Decked out in a floppy hat, she cast a line to show off, smirking at me. Her bobber hit the water, and in 3 seconds, it vanished. She yanked, but nothing. She cast again, snap. The line broke. The crowd gasped as her reel spun into the lake like a missile. Margaret stumbled, splashing knee-deep into the shallows, screaming about killer fish. The piranhas swarmed, harmless but dramatic, and she scrambled out, drenched and furious. "This lake's cursed," she yelled, banning fishing on the spot. I sipped my coffee, hiding a grin. The neighborhood buzzed. A guest, Cindy, posted a video of Margaret's meltdown, titled "Margaret versus the Demon Fish," which went viral in our group chat. Margaret doubled down, calling an emergency HOA meeting to propose a lake activity ban and a safety audit. She even suggested draining the lake for clean water. I wasn't invited, but Cindy texted me updates, complete with eye rolls. When Harold meekly noted the lake wasn't HOA property, Margaret ranted about moral stewardship. I knew she'd never stop. Margaret's next move was a lake safety day, hiring a fish expert named Dwayne, who arrived in a truck plastered with fish tamer stickers. He dipped his net into the lake, pulling up weeds and a lone crawfish. The crowd whispered. Desperate, Dwayne cast a line, and the piranhas obliterated it. A kid, Timmy, piped up, holding a school report. "Those are vegetarian piranhas. My dad says they're harmless." His dad, Greg, backed him up, citing zoo projects. The crowd turned, questioning Margaret's obsession. Cindy yelled, "How much did Dwayne's fish hunt cost us?" Laughter erupted, and Margaret's authority crumbled. I upped the ante, launching a website, Lake Truth, with piranha facts, my deed, and Margaret's meltdown clips. It exploded locally. Neighbors rallied. Kids fed the piranhas lettuce, and parents praised my stand. Margaret, Enraged, hired contractors to fence off my lake, claiming a biohazard. I called the sheriff, who shut it down after seeing my deed. Then, she filed an EPA complaint, alleging I'd introduced invasive species. My old colleague, Sarah, reviewed it, chuckling at its absurdity. Her team tested the lake, declared it pristine, and I taped the report to my mailbox. Margaret's final blow came at night. My cameras caught her dumping meat near my dock to attract predators. I turned the footage over to Animal Control, who issued her a warning. At the next HOA meeting, the board reviewed her trespassing, false claims, and violations. They voted 6-1 to suspend her leadership. Margaret stormed out, vowing revenge. But her worst act was yet to come. One morning, my lake's water turned cloudy. Fish floated, dazed or dead. Tests showed spiked nitrates and a chemical stench. A neighbor's photos showed Margaret dumping pool algae killer into the lake at dawn. I reported it, and deputies arrested her after finding chemical buckets in her shed. Charged with environmental damage and trespassing, she ranted about haunted fish as neighbors filmed. The HOA expelled her permanently, and Harold apologized, asking me to advise on lake care. I agreed, on one condition: they'd recognize my ownership in writing. They did. The lake healed, but I wanted more. I partnered with a conservation group to turn it into Serenity Pond, an educational site. Families attended workshops, kids fed piranhas, and schools booked field trips. A news segment, "Man Fined for Fishing His Own Lake," made Margaret a local punchline. She tried one last stunt, siphoning lake water for evidence of mutation, but was caught and slapped with a restraining order. Serenity Pond became a community gem, and I, its steward, found peace. Margaret faded, her house neglected, her influence gone. Serenity Pond thrived, a testament to standing firm. That evening, rod in hand, I sat on my dock, the water reflecting the stars. The lake wasn't just my night, was ours, a symbol of reason over tyranny. What do you think? Was my piranha ploy justice or escalation? Share your thoughts on standing up to bullies and fighting injustice in the comments. Let's hear your stance.